Kamil bought a $7 million commercial roofing business for a 2.8x multiple, and it almost put him out of business. Not because the numbers were wrong, but because he misunderstood people, customers, and what really breaks after an acquisition. In the first year, revenue dropped from $7 million to nearly $5 million. Customers hesitated, leadership resisted change, and the business he thought would run without him demanded everything. He skipped earnouts, missed customer concentration risk, and assumed the existing team would follow his vision. They didn't. In this episode, we break down the real mistakes first-time buyers make, client trust, leadership alignment, and why hands-off ownership is a lie at this level. If you're buying or thinking about buying a business, this is the conversation you need to hear before you wire the money.
I say this to everybody I speak to when we get on this subject is expectations. I had an operating business that was doing extremely well. It took up, I would say, 60 to 70% of my time by then, but still significant, over around 30 hours a week, let's say. And I was buying this one with the intention of not really being involved. The other owner who left to Florida, turned out the family didn't like Florida. So they came back. And when they came back, he approached us, let me help you guys out. I know you guys are in trouble. And came back and started helping out. And within 2 months, everything started turning around. That sort of proved to me that consumers saw that he's back, stability is back, and the team was back together, and the phone started ringing. And then we came to an agreement on a long-term partnership, and we're all back together now and one big happy family. Born and raised in Poland, came to the States in 1993 at 13 years old. Went to school, high school, college, and right as I was finishing college, I was actually supposed to go to law school. And my mom at that moment asked me if I would help her out in her little business. And her business started 3 years prior, so about the time when I came to the States. And actually, no, I'm sorry, 3 years prior. No, well, shit. No, she was already in the business for a bunch of years. Hold on a second. So she's been in business since 93.
Oh, nice.
But anyway, it was a siding installation company for contractors. So basically, a builder called and she did the estimate. My stepdad got in a truck, got the job done, and she asked me to help out over the summer. So I said, sure, let me make some money before I go to law school, which what I thought I was going to do at the time. And as I'm working in that business, a few months into it, she tells me that she wants to move to Florida, and would I be interested in taking over? And I put a little bit thought to it. There was a debate, internal debate, but eventually I said, yeah, let's do it. I like the money. I like the prestige of being an entrepreneur. And we got into it. She moved out, and I was neck deep in it, and it certainly was not what I imagined. It wasn't, suit and tie and boardroom meetings, any of that. It was me in the truck driving around, doing a little repairs and swinging a hammer here and there, and measuring and walking in mud and using porta potties. That's what I was. That's what my next 7 to 9 years looked like in that role. But I took ownership of it really quickly. It started becoming my identity, and I loved building. I learned that I loved building a team. Not really a team at that moment, but what I thought was a business, but obviously it was just a job, a self entrepreneur. Um, yeah, and then this is about year 2014, 15, 16. So I'm in it about 10 years, and then I discovered and I got introduced to different aspects of how to grow businesses, community masterminds, and everything took off from there.
Nice. And then so you grew that siding business. It's not a roofing business yet, right? When did it
Exactly.
transition into roofing?
It transitioned about that time, right? So the year is 2017. I get introduced to this network mastermind called Go Abundance. I start discovering what it means to be an entrepreneur, what it means to build a team, what it means to scale. Now, at that moment, it was just still baby steps. It was just theoretical plan and vision and mission. And I hired my first admin, then I hired a project manager. So it was a team of two, then three, then four, very, very small. And maybe about 2019, started introducing roofing to our offering and a little bit of windows. And today, it's still a, I would say, the brand is still very much based on siding. Our name was B&B Siding. Then we put B&B Siding and Roofing. And currently, it's probably a 50-50 split between siding and roofing, all residential, selling at your kitchen table. So, right from that moment where I joined the mastermind, I started discovering the opportunity. I started phasing away from builders and contractors and leaning deeper into retail. That change alone almost put me out of business because I did it too fast,
Mm.
and I didn't realize that builders and contractors would kept the lights on in the winter because retail is not really calling to do projects in the Northeast in the middle of January. So that was a very, very steep learning curve, but we got through it, and now we very little builder and contractor work, maybe a few select customers that we've worked with throughout the years, and it's all retail based.
Okay, and that's actually a really good insight right there, where you said you figured out that builders kept the lights on during the off season because a lot of people go into business like that, and then they have this perception about builders and the risk and and they don't want to be in the builder business and the cyclicality of it, but then they don't understand that there's a seasonality to the business that builder helps with, and then probably other things as well as a feeder mechanism for future business and so forth. But that's a huge insight. How about the difference between siding and roofing? Can you kind of talk about it a little bit? Like, what's the difference between those two businesses in terms of um, client acquisition, or in terms of margin, in terms of like the whole business? I'm assuming they're completely different.
Yeah, quite a bit. And I'm actually quite surprised that siding does not have as much competition as roofing.
Hmm.
Now, I know why, but I'm surprised that companies that are a little bit more advanced do not lean into siding because there's roofers all over the place. But honestly, all you need is a truck and a ladder to do a roof. To do a siding, it's a
Siding.
little bit more of a capex investment into a lot of equipment. The difference being is the P&Ls run the same way. There's no issues there. The difference being is that the siding project takes a lot longer, anywhere from 5 to 7 days. Roofing projects, at least here in the Northeast, and 2 days max. If it's a huge house, maybe three with rip off. So much quicker turnaround with roofing, but then your average ticket size is a lot larger with siding. You have a lot more complexity with siding. Estimating roofing is a lot easier. Estimating siding is definitely a lot more involved. Right now, with technology, we use hover, so it's really easy for either or. But then your IT expenses go up. It's I don't know if one is better than the other. There's pros and cons to all of it, right? Quicker cash turnaround with roofing, but again, bigger ticket prices with siding. You can get you can hit scale quicker with siding. It's like, and we'll get into it obviously. It's like scale. It's like going from residential roofing to
Yeah.
residential siding to commercial roofing. All of a
Interesting.
sudden, you add zeros at the end of each ticket,
Yeah.
and that's your potential to scale without really scaling the operation. All you're doing is just playing in a bigger sandbox.
Got it. So, what is like a good siding company? What is the gross margin and what is the net margin there?
Right. Okay. So that's an important distinction then. For us, our gross margin on siding is 46% currently, and we're actually looking to go above 50 in the next few weeks.
Nice.
And roofing, I said siding, right? I did say
Yes.
siding.
Yeah. And what's
And
the net on
roofing,
that?
then well, it depends on how fat you
Just
are, you know what
typical.
I mean?
Just like an
Typical,
average.
you should be anywhere between 15 to 20%.
Okay. All right, so
Yeah.
typical. And then the roofing
And roofing is a lot lower because there's so much more competition,
competition.
right? So we're selling roofing right now at 30, 36-ish,
Okay.
36, somewhere around that.
Got it.
So 10 points lower.
Got it.
Soon to be even much more lower than that. But we're competing with trucks in the truck, and it's really, really hard here. The one important distinction, at least for us, we're trying to figure out how to do it for roofing, but for siding, we are able to offer a lot more value. There's a lot more tangibles and risk with siding where we can create value. With
Got it.
roofing, is not that easy to create value up and above what everybody else is doing already.
That makes sense. Um, Interesting. And you said the siding is a higher ticket. Okay.
A lot higher. Yeah. Our
Okay.
average ticket on siding is, anywhere between 25 to 35,000.
Wow.
Roofing is 20,000 minus 20,000.
Okay. And then how about the size of the market, the TAM essentially for siding versus roofing? So roofing is bigger or siding, or it's the same?
I actually am not going to give you that answer because I don't know.
Okay.
I did not
It's
go
just
that deep.
interesting. Okay. And you said that there's not as much competition in siding, not much sophisticated competition in siding than there is in roofing. Do you know
Yes,
why?
correct. I would assume because of the capex is required to get into the business. So there is no, so it's a interesting difference. There is no sophisticated competition in roofing because there's a lot of trucks in the truck in roofing, but there is quite a bit of sophisticated competition in siding.
Oh, okay.
Companies that are as much as $100 million in revenue doing siding
Oh, okay.
primarily. Yeah, so when we are coming in to sell a siding jobs, our competition is sophisticated.
Oh, okay.
When
So,
we come in to sell a roofing job, we see a bunch of napkins and estimates on napkins.
okay. Got it. So there's more competition on the siding than there is on the roofing. I thought it was the other way.
No,
Okay.
no, no, no. I'm sorry, I misspoke. There is more on the roofing
Okay.
in terms of quantity of competition. A
Yeah.
lot of roofers,
Yeah.
but more sophisticated,
Sophistication.
less, but more sophisticated on the siding side.
Makes sense. Okay, got it. Makes sense. And that's interesting. Okay. And so now take us to the acquisition, going from residential going into an commercial acquisition.
Yeah, so it's a year 2022, best year for us in business. Really thought I had, the world by the horns. I hired a COO for my residential siding roofing company. We're really going deep, and I asked myself, what's the next step on this journey, right? And the natural next step was an acquisition. And that one fell into my lap. My buddy of mine came over and wanted to open up a commercial roofing company under my existing umbrella. But I said, I'm not interested because we're going to have to start at the bottom. We're going to have to chase new construction work. Margins are horrible. We're going to get hurt. And he says, he kind of right. I know this guy who wants to sell. And that's how I got introduced to this seller here in the North Jersey, and we started a conversation. It took us about a year and a half to get the deal done, but neither him or nor I were in a hurry. So yeah, actually, that conversation started way earlier than 2022. Um, and then yeah, end of 2022, we closed on the acquisition. It was um, a commercial roofing business that only does commercial. They did about $7 million in revenue. I bought it for $3 million, 2.8 multiple, and it was unique. And the reason why got really connected with it because it was all private work, no big box, no new construction, very high margins. Obviously, that comes with a lot of red flags that I ignored. But I liked what I had at that moment, and then the team here had very very longevity. Most of the PMs and field workers were Polish, so I could have relayed and make that connection. And just good people overall. It was a good culture. Almost like that family culture, and it wasn't. looking back at it now, it wasn't mom and pop in the grand scheme of commercial roofing, but to me, $7 million was not nothing to scoff at. So I thought it was a pretty good business, pretty good size business. Um, yeah, and we took it down and went on that whole journey, which I can get into.
So yeah, yeah. So before that, what was the why did the seller want to sell?
It was yeah, it was primarily two sellers, two partners. They've been together since mid 90s, I think. Yeah, mid to late 90s. And one partner wanted to move to Florida for family reasons, the primary partner that I was talking to. And that was really the main reason why they wanted to sell, because with whoever was going to buy that business, the other partner who was stayed in Jersey wanted to stay on, which was also attractive to me to have a
Yeah.
guy stay on. So that was primary reason. They were
Okay.
splitting up. Yeah.
Got it. And so, what was like your? So you had the conversation. You made them an offer. They accepted. Can you speak about the structure a little bit about of the structure of the deal?
Yeah. So it ended up being an 80-10-10.
Okay.
We used SBA financing. We were going to take down the real estate as well, but last minute we had to carve it out due to some environmental issues. So unfortunately, our terms went from longer real estate inclusive to lesser because there was no real estate. And that was pretty easy. There's some of the mistakes that I made, again, it being my first rodeo, and honestly, even if I was gonna take this business down anyway. It didn't
Yeah.
matter what happened. I'm that kind of guy. It's just like I burn the boats, I get it done, I figure it out. It almost did put me out, but yeah, I didn't do an earnout. I didn't buy AR. Um, I just bought it straight out, man, and
So
didn't
there's
do
no.
proper due diligence.
Okay. Yeah. So there's no working capital included or anything.
No, not
Okay.
from the sellers, but I did get working capital
From the
from the
lender.
lender, from the
Okay.
bank. Yeah.
Got it. And so tell us like the due diligence mistakes first.
Yeah, for sure. Concentration, consumer concentration was the biggest one.
Okay.
That I should have really connected and go deep on that and met with every single one. I've met with two. We sat down across the table, we chit chatted. I left. No, it should have been multiple meetings. How can I, Mr. Consumer, make you feel comfortable and trust me to continue to do business with me? Is
Yeah.
there anything that might come up for you if I buy this business that you might, consider not working with us? Because that's essentially what happened.
Hmm.
The business after acquisition lost consumer confidence, and consumers stopped calling for bigger ticket items. So that was the biggest red flag. Obviously, what I've mentioned around AR and working capital and earnouts, that should have been another one. Because human psychology, I'm not blaming everybody, but when you sell and disconnect from what was previously yours, you don't feel the same attachment. So I don't blame anybody for going up and above, making sure that these customers don't leave. It was just a natural progression, and then how it naturally unfolded. But having earnouts and things like that, then you still have skin in the game, and you want to make sure the transition is smooth. So that was that. Another big one, the biggest, apart from that, the biggest one was uh, coming to an understanding and full alignment with the team that you're buying. And I'm not even talking about the PMs or the site supers or the service techs or the technicians. I'm talking about the leadership team internally. This business was compartmentalized with account managers that had their own customer funnel. And there was one guy who was groomed to lead the business forward, which was also music to my ear. But it all turns out that we weren't out on the same page. I mean,
Hmm.
in those few meetings that I've had, I was talking about growth, and I was talking about what kind of strategy I was going to bring into this company, and they nodded their heads. But when we bought it and after acquisition, they threw their hands up and said, "Nah, don't make any changes. We like it the way it is. You know, go do your thing, leave us alone."
Yeah.
And that was a huge, huge disconnect over the 3 years. I've had to top grade the entire leadership team, fire everybody, replace everybody. It was horrendously hard to do, and if I leaned into them more in during the due diligence process and actually spent significant time connecting, deeply connecting with them, I'm not saying that things would have been differently, but I would know what's coming way earlier than I did and would prep for it.
Yeah.
So
That's
those
huge.
two things are probably the
Oh, they're
biggest.
big.
And
Yeah. So they're the three biggest things. You got the client, you got the talent, and you got the capital.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
common denominator is people. So it's
Yeah.
always about people.
Yeah. What else?
Oh, what else? Then the little things, the inventory check. Inventory was definitely old and needed to be replaced and sold. So there was another thing that I butchered, which was the transition of work in progress. Um, I probably should have simplified it a lot more. We've put in metrics of like 20% completion, 50, 75. You keep the profit, I keep the profit. You pay me the cogs, I pay you the cogs. It was a fucking mess. Um, all in all, probably lost money on that whole transition. And again, it's nobody's fault. It was just a matter of overcomplicating the situation. Um, and then for me personally, the biggest one, and I say this to everybody I speak to when we get on this subject, is expectations. I had an operating business that was doing extremely well. It took up, I would say, 60 to 70% of my time by then, but still significant,
Yeah.
over around 30 hours a week, let's say. And I was buying this one with the intention of not really being involved, leaning on the people that were already here. And obviously, as you can assume from what I'm saying, it did not work out like that. I needed to step in. And not only that, I was even months after acquisition, and I think a full year, I was still fighting coming to the office. I was still, I couldn't believe it that I got myself in this situation, and I was just hoping that it's going to work itself out without me actually being involved. But then I gave in and I started coming in with the pressure of my peers and my mastermind network. And now I'm here. I'm here multiple times a week, and we're having fun. Now I embraced it. Now when the thing is winning, everybody's
Yes.
having fun. So that the expectation about what it takes to run a business at this level, and we think $7 million top line and $1 million bottom line, it's supposedly a good self-sustainable business, but no,
No.
no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no.
It
It's
can.
got to be a lot larger than that.
Okay. So I'm gonna go back to each part. Each part. So the client concentration. Did you have concentration on the revenue side or on the EBITDA side or the earnings side or both?
Well, definitely revenue, which sort of in my
Revenue.
mind translates to both, but
Okay.
we had, I would say, no more than five top customers top five customers creating 80% of revenue.
Wow. Okay. And
Very
so
concentrated.
that's yeah. And then so how many of them kind of stopped calling? One or more than one of those
I'd
five?
say three out of two.
Three out of
And
two.
I don't mean stop. They still called, but were not with big projects.
Okay. Oh, so they gave
Yeah.
you guys smaller project and
Yeah.
okay. And so they stopped giving you guys the big project because they had their relationship with one of the owners and they just didn't know you and they didn't trust you, or is it because they had a relationship with one of the account managers and so that person was not doing their job, or why did they stop sending you those jobs?
We've had the meeting. I've had the meeting with each one of them,
Pre-close.
like pre-close, most
Yeah.
of them. So there was the understanding.
Yeah.
And to answer your question directly, I don't think it was because Mike left and all of a sudden Mike's there, so I'm not calling because Mike's not there. Because
Right.
we had the understanding that yeah, he's leaving and everything will be seamless.
Yeah.
I am convinced that phones stop ringing because if I'm the customer and I have $1 million project, am I going to call New Tech, who has a new owner, now replaced a few people in the office? It's a team I'm not familiar with. Can I trust this team to execute such a large project and mitigate my risk? And the answer is no. So I don't blame them. But that should have been my conversation up front and reassuring them what changes I'm making, how it's going to be benefit them as a customer. So it's all that should have played out on my side. But that's what I think it was. I think it was they wanted to give it time to see where things settle with the new owner and the new team, and can then still perform at that high level. Because remember, the first thing I said at this call and the reason why I bought the company, it was a high touch, private, concentrated customer base, meaning the way NewTek did work and still does is a lot higher level than other customers. So the jobs that we were being fed were high touch, very difficult. Um, so I understand why it was not easy for them to just, sign off on the bid and have us do it.
And this is like year one. The changes you made year one, you said in the office, were they part of those account managers or just staff?
I would say the whole thing played out in 2 years.
2 years.
So within those 2 years, the one owner left to Florida. Then we had to turn some admin staff. Later in like year two, we turned two account managers. Not really hurt us. Uh, so it all played out in like 18 to 24
Got
months.
it. And in that first 12 month, how, so you were at 7 million when you entered. What was the revenue year two? Year one?
4 point, I want to say 5.1 year one,
Okay.
4.6 year two. So we
Okay.
downtrended,
Got it.
and then we zoomed in for the win year three.
Nice. Okay. So year one, they already kind of like, so that's just their discomfort with the
Although
change.
Jay, I'll say this, and this is again nobody's fault, but
Sure.
in that whip transition from remember we closed in October 22. In that transition, which was the acquisition and the fiscal year, a lot of the work got pushed to 2024. So they closed the old company at a very, very high
Oh,
top line revenue year because they pushed as much work as they could so they
makes
could still
sense.
benefit off of it. I would do
Makes
the same
sense.
thing,
Makes
obviously.
sense.
So that's why my year was at 5.1. If everything was natural, I think the year would have been around 6.
Okay. So both years will be 6 6 and then it'll even out.
Yeah,
Got it.
but the real hurt came about in 2024.
5.
No, no, 4.
Four.
So
4.
we
Okay.
closed in
Yeah.
22.
Yeah.
23 was
Yeah.
the transition
Yeah.
year. 2024 came the hurt.
Got it. And then what are the changes that the account managers didn't like? What did they like resist?
Everything, and primarily it's CRM, it's systematization, processes. Everybody had everything in their heads. They didn't want to be told what to do. Oh my God, did they hate the meetings? Oh my God. They never had any meetings because they were all in the same office. They
Yeah.
have a beautiful lunch table. They just get around the table during lunch. And I get it. I get all that. So again, there's no blame
So you
whatsoever. It's
came with like
just funny.
EOS or something? Is that was it?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Got
kind of blasting with EOS, L10 meetings, VTO, let's go, guys. And they're like, what? Get
it. Get
out of
out of
here.
here.
It was
That's
crazy.
good. Okay. So now
Yeah.
like if you were to do this again, how would you approach that same team?
Well, first of all, I'm not doing it alone now. So I did it all alone. It was
Okay.
just me. And now we're actually looking at another acquisition. And now I have a team. I have a team who knows and has bought in and will be able to come. And not a team of outsiders, because I still consider myself an outsider. I'm not a commercial roofing expert. But now I have a partner, actually the old owner who came back.
Nice.
We are now working very closely together, and he's my credibility. He's the guy who can connect with the next owner and say, hey, this actually works. This L10 meeting works, this CRM thing works, and it's just cool to be in the room and be well received
Nice.
and have the translation of how I see the vision and the mission go through an owner operator like my partner into this new owner operator who's selling, who now knows that his baby's going to be taken care of, and so and etc. So that's the main difference. Is to partner up with either an operator or a former owner within that industry. It just makes life
So
million
someone who
times
has
easier.
credibility and then can speak the language of that, of that industry. So if you were to go back and then how would you approach those two things? The client base, what would you do differently, in order for you to keep those clients, or at least let's say not that big of a drop, smaller drop, and then how would you do it with the team as well if you were to go back and do it again? Time travel.
Yeah. Well, with the team, that's probably a little easier. If I felt that I'm not making a connection and we weren't aligned, then I would even before acquisition, I would look for an operator,
Got it.
an account manager, to step in with me. That would be the solution to that. And then with the customers, it's easy for me to say that again. I should have been more blunt, more clear, ask for what they expect, but at the same time, they could have very easily just say yes, yeah, 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 and then still do what they did.
Yeah.
So that's a hard one. That's a
How
hard
about
one.
like that first year? Would you have like maybe showed up to the office day one and
Oh
then
yeah,
go
oh
spend
yeah,
more time with them, take them out to
100%.
dinners, take them
Yeah,
out
yeah.
to
I'm sorry.
stuff?
I missed your
Okay.
question. What I would have done
Yeah.
differently if I would have moved my life into
Yes.
this office day one.
Okay.
I would have been here, set up, did not leave, and everything would be 10 times easier. But because
Okay.
I was so resistant
Yeah.
to changing the way I live life,
Yeah.
that it took me 2 years, what should take me 3 months. This
Got it.
this whole turnaround should have been no more than 6 months.
Got it.
But
Okay.
it's just
Okay.
nature
Yeah.
of,
So
of me.
being there, spending some time with the client, spending time with the team.
Fixes it all. Yeah,
Yeah. Building
100%.
connection, trust, alignment. Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense. On the team side, to understand a little bit the alignment with your team, um, obviously you had the opportunity to talk to them before you closed, which is kind of sometimes rare. It's not as common. How would you have done differently to kind of, kind of like get that out of them, get um, the misalignment, if you will, between what you're trying to do versus what they're expecting. But also you have to take that in consideration that whatever you say you're gonna do, they have no experience, with it. So they can say yes, but they don't know what it is. You know what I mean? Until you actually do it. So how would you do that part where surface those issues before you close?
More time, just more time spent with them. And you're absolutely right. It still wouldn't give me 100% assurance, but what I didn't know then, I know now, is that even seeing the inexperience of that person's um, um, inexperience with systems or processes or EOS,
Yeah.
if I recognize, if I, well, I did recognize it, but if I connected the dots, I would have even maybe brought in somebody from B&B, not necessarily for the benefit of industry knowledge, but for the benefit of being a champion of change,
Yeah.
to sit down with them and help me champion the implementation of whatever I was trying to do. Because you're absolutely right. None of them, they nodded their heads, and they and I just took it at their word, and I
Yeah.
said, and I thought to myself, okay, I'll just bring in the new implementations, and we're gonna rock and roll. Um, but if I spent more time with them and I actually realized, you know what, this guy might be open to it. I know he doesn't have experience. I know he's going to be resistant a little bit. But if I bring in Lauren with me from B&B, we both can. tackle it because he's open to it.
Yeah.
But the guys that I actually had there, if I spent more time with them, I would have realized that they're yesing me, but they're not open to it.
Hmm.
And they were never going to be open to it.
Got it.
And that's the piece I missed.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, there's actually there's actually it's kind of like a capacity for change or change capacity, and essentially the ability for a team or a business to essentially transform, to change, and it's a measure that there are consultants and advisors that do this, that can do surveys and question and do interviews to figure that out, as part of the operational due diligence, to figure out, I'm going into a team that has that capability to transform to where we wanted to go or not. And then so just know it ahead of time is huge, in terms of how you proceed. Okay, so this is huge. This is super valuable because the client, elements is definitely something that happens, and the team piece also happens. You said there were two owners. Was one of the owners stayed, right? And then one of the owner left to California or to Florida. The person
Yeah.
that stayed, is he still there?
Yeah. They're
Oh,
both
okay.
still here,
Oh,
actually.
nice. Okay. What are
Yeah,
their
yeah.
roles? What are they?
So the one that never left, that was
Yeah.
here, he's our estimator and sort of salesperson, right?
Nice.
There is no real sales process here. In our company, it's more about building a proper job scope, building a proper bid package for the customer, solving all the issues, and he's amazing at that. He's very analytical, engineer mindset. So he's been with us. He never left, and but he's not, he's not an account manager. He's not a leader, not because he's a bad guy. It's not his personality.
Yeah.
It's not something he would feel comfortable with. So he was just basically like sending out bid packages and meeting with customers just to go over scopes. And the other owner who left to Florida, turned out that his family didn't like Florida. So
Okay.
they came back. And when they came back, he approached us. This was earlier this year, and said, let me help you guys out. I know you guys are in trouble. And came back and started helping out. And within 2 months, everything started turning around.
Wow.
That sort of proved to me that the customers and consumers saw that he's back, stability is back, and the team was back together, and the phone started ringing. And then we came to an agreement on a long-term partnership, and we're all back together now, and one big happy family.
That's awesome. So what did you do when he came back to kind of like turn the ship around?
Yeah. This hey, he is definitely more of a full-on account manager. Great at selling, great at making connection, great at connecting and influencing people. He's your true sales professional and a leader, right? He was the one running this business before I bought it, so he's back in that same role. And the difference being is that he is so well known, so well networked, has so many relationships, that it's something that it's extremely hard to substitute. And with him came back the brand and came back the strength of this business, because people knew that if they give him a job, a project, that will get done. And no matter what happens, it will get done right. So that was the biggest thing.
Nice. And so when you bought the business, how many account managers did you have?
Two.
Okay, and those account managers, essentially, they're managing the account, but also they're doing sales.
Yeah.
That's
Actually,
part
I'm
of
sorry,
their.
three, and correct. Each has their own funnel. They all estimate their own work, send out the bid, manage the interaction, and then hand it off to a project manager
Okay,
individually, separately. So it's multiple businesses with their own business.
and then do they go out and prospect for new business, or they just take the inbound?
Inbound.
Okay, and so the business never had any outbound, way to go out and find business and bid on business.
No, no. And I thought that was my low-hanging fruit. I thought that was my value add. So immediately after acquisition, I started hiring BD guys and ladies. and one after the other didn't work. And by the way, hiring in commercial roofing is extremely expensive. It's ridiculous.
Really?
Can't find talent for nothing. Um, and we finally landed on a business development lady about a year ago, 13 months, and she's been with us. She's gaining traction, but it's such a long process
Yeah.
to gain the confidence and to have the consumers see you as an authority in the space, that it's just that it's a very, very long engagement, very long process. Now what I've done recently is I've hired another expert and another account manager, so we're definitely building the business development side of things. We are definitely going into 2026 with a great strategy of outbound business development. We're excited about because the phone is still ringing. We had a great year, so we're just going to add to it. But now, what's different between now and then is that then I I was recruiting for talent and just kind of bringing anybody who would say yes.
Yeah.
Now I'm very intentional. And again, we have the reputation and we have so talent wants to see talent. Talent wants to see that you already have something cool happening that they want to come and join. And that's really what really happened. We got the flywheel moving, and now it's attracting not only new customers but also talent, and that's the difference. And it's hard, right? What's first, chicken or the egg? It's hard to
Yeah.
get that flywheel going.
Yeah. So when you say you're intentional about what you're looking for, so what are you looking for?
So we've just hired a gentleman who was very high up, a C-suite level, with one of the manufacturers in the industry.
Okay.
And what that means, he knows everybody and is
Got it.
extremely well respected. So that's what I mean. You just want to get people. You just want to get people who are very, very ingrained in this market, in the industry, and are very well known. And the other person that we've hired is somebody who's coming in from our direct competitor, a lot larger company than us,
Nice.
but they're coming over because of instability in that company after being bought out by PE.
Nice.
So there's so again, same level, very high level account manager with them coming over here, and it's just one of those things where you start attracting the right people when you get the right thing going.
Nice. And your clients, are they developers or are they the end client, and who's your customer?
It's building owners, it's facility managers, property managers, and then we have a few consultants that we work with.
Okay.
So we don't work for builders, we don't work for contractors, we don't work for big box like Amazon or anything like that. None of that.
Okay.
It's
And then,
private work, highly specialized, hospitals, pharmaceutical companies, things like that.
okay. And this is like a new installs or mostly like,
All
maintenance,
re-roofs, all
everything
re-roofs.
re-roofs,
Yeah.
re-roofs. Okay.
Very few new construction.
Okay. And then you don't do much maintenance.
No, we do have a service and
You
maintenance
do service.
department. Nothing
Okay.
crazy. We're definitely going to look to grow it in the next year. But yeah, it's that one primary way to get your foot in the door. So it's very important to have a maintenance and service department.
Got it. And so with these customers, these building owners and asset managers and so forth, that you already have, are you capturing 100% of their business, or are they spreading their business, their re-roofs across multiple companies?
In our particular market, you
Yeah.
kind of tend to be the one provider for most of the time.
Okay.
Again, most of the bids go out to multiple bidders.
Okay.
So there is a chance you not might not get them all, but for the most part, you're sort of connected with that one owner. That doesn't mean that owner doesn't have other facilities in other states
Yeah.
that somebody else is doing.
Yeah.
But states and local specific, you tend to kind of be tied to whoever your contact is. Yes.
Got it. Okay. So most of the time you're getting 90% of their business within your
Yeah.
state. Got it.
Yeah.
And then are you covering one state or two?
We're actually like we're in Pennsylvania, we're in Delaware, we're in Jersey. Sometimes we'll go up to Connecticut. We just did a job in Virginia. So
Okay.
we are mobile, but obviously heavily concentrated in our region.
Got it. So my question is, do you have the ability to generate more revenue within the same customers that you already have?
100%.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Got it.
And that's why I'm looking at this next acquisition because it's strategically placed in the next state where we can cross-reference our customer base, which a lot of it is the same. So there
Okay.
wouldn't be a lot of friction or heavy lifting to tap into that work because that customer already knows us.
Got it. So the business 22 did 7 million, then it went down to like five, and then it went to four something, and then now what did it end at 25? 25.
We're going to end at 12.1, my
That's
friend.
awesome. Congratulations. Well done.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's a big jump. That's like 3x in 1 year. And
Huge. Huge.
that's huge. Yeah. So, yeah. So yeah, makes a big difference. Congrats, man.
Thank you.
And so all the investment, so of the things that you implemented, all the changes you implemented, what worked and what didn't?
Oh, I guess it's maybe a little bit too soon to say what didn't work. We implemented a HubSpot for sales and marketing CRM. Not that we do a lot of marketing, but just for customer database. We implemented FCS for our service CRM, and we're gonna see if we can use it for for production also. Other than that, we haven't really implemented much more. We've obviously built out all our SOPs for each role and structure. This year, with the new people coming in, I'm really going to lean into EOS and bring in a professional and help us set up everything, the VTO and proper org chart and GWC, everybody. So we're going to lean a lot more into that. But I think, just to answer your question, what worked was doubling down on what the culture should be. I'm a very culture first type of a leader, and I've spent most of this year connecting with my team. I do what's called skip meetings every month. I meet with every single employee of the company just to shoot the shed and get to know them. That was important. And honestly, if it wasn't for the buy-in of the field team from day one, I wouldn't have survived. They had my back, even though I was the new guy. But thank God we connected right off the bat, and that was the most important piece. Sustaining that culture, protecting them, having their back, and everything else slowly but surely fell into place. So it's just, trusting the process, trusting the universe, and treating people right, and things will work out.
So how do you describe the culture?
Very, very close. We are we're now quite accountable. With the old team, it wasn't, the accountability was missing, but now with the new team in place, we're all very accountable of each other and to each other. The culture is it's tight. We like to spend time together. We like to win together. We like to celebrate and support each other if there's tough times. So very supportive. Yeah.
Nice. And how did the dynamic of the owner coming back into the business, did that, the vibe, the energy, how did that dynamic change, or did it?
Well, definitely changed because when before he came in that year and a half when he was missing, there was a lot of uncertainty, anxiety, fear. We everybody knew that the company was struggling. There
Yeah.
was obviously that was very noticeable. We either had work or we didn't, and we didn't. So when he came back, there was a refreshed sense of confidence and definitely a lot of hope from everybody, which then got turned into action. So yeah, it changed. It elevated us up to to another level. So even though when he was not here, I was still leaning into making sure that we're all together and supporting each other and helping each other win. But when he came back, he actually very much leaned into what we already had going on,
Nice.
and it just elevated everything.
That's awesome. And so tell me about this next acquisition. So how did it come about, and what's the thought there?
Yeah, I mean, so it was just us sitting around and strategizing. First of all, celebrating what was happening and the achievement that we were, putting together here this year, and we're just thinking of what's next. Because they knew that I bought the business with the intention of growth through M&A and organic, and we were just kind of just seeing what's possible, talking through some things. And it's funny, you start talking about something, you put it out in the world, and all of a sudden, your senses gravitate to particular opportunities. And there was a friend of a friend who called us and said, "Hey, listen, there's this guy. I know you guys, were just acquired. I know your new owner is looking to expand, and we heard that this guy is interested in selling. It's an off-market deal." And that's how we got connected. And it's very early. It might not happen, but we're exploring it, and it looks good. It's a very similar size business, so that would mean we know what to look for and how to improve it. It's nothing that we're not familiar with, so it might happen. We'll see. But that's all it is. It's through relationships and like anything in this business. Jesus Christ. Um, yeah, I don't know if we're gonna scale the M&A world by creating a funnel and sorting through SIMs. I don't know if we're gonna
Yeah.
do all that. We're probably gonna first just explore all the relationship we have and see if there's anything there. I know it's a numbers games, but we'll see.
Yeah,
Taking it easy.
but also I think for you guys, it's very specific. It's very the type of business you want to buy is very unique, and it's not like there are going to be a lot of them out there. So it's just a matter of like waiting for that big fish to come around and be able to recognize it and be able to do the transaction in a quick manner. But yeah, and I mean
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense. So what's the goal next year, 2026?
Well, I mean, definitely grow on what we've built so far. So we're shooting for 17 million next year.
Nice.
If we can take down this acquisition, that would add another seven to the top line, and then we still have B&B. B&B's in a little bit of a holding pattern there. We're rebuilding some sales processes and our entire sales engine and marketing engine. So hopefully we can get some significant bump out of that as well.
That's what I was going to ask you. How did this process of going through this acquisition affect your B&B business?
Well, on paper negatively, but I
Okay.
don't think it was because of the acquisition. I think B&B has experienced hardships because of the decisions I've made in that business.
Hmm.
Again, I've hired a leader that unfortunately didn't work out. Great guy, but just didn't work out in the role. And that hurt it a lot. We made some decisions throughout that time that were had a very long negative impact. We made a wrong decision on a marketing hire earlier last year. So a bunch of wrong hiring decisions, unfortunately, which again killed the momentum. It's all about the momentum. So now I brought in some talent to revamp the sales and marketing department. We have shifted our sales our to customer approach. We were always a follow-up shop. Now we're a one call close shop. So that changes a lot. You have to change the culture of the sales team. You have to change the sales team because
Yeah.
whoever was selling for you before
Yeah.
is not going to sell in this new system. So we had to
Yeah.
do all that, and all that takes time. So we're very hopeful that we're past all that. The changes have been made. Now we're executing. So all should be well.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, and so what are some of the lessons that you learned from the commercial side that you can take to your residential side?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know if there is any. They're so drastically different businesses. Um, yeah, my mind just goes to the high level stuff like culture and things, but yeah, this is B2C. You're selling at the kitchen table. You got a sales process. A lot of jobs turning quickly. Here, it's big jobs going on for weeks or months at a time. No marketing. The sales process is completely different. So not really sure. I have to get back to you on that
How
one.
about the other way? Is there any learning from the retail, from the residential to the commercial? Is there anything that the commercial guys can benefit?
There is the high customer touch in the commercial industry. From at least from what I've seen, companies do not put a tremendous amount of value on customer touch, customer experience,
Yeah.
post-production customer experience. As a matter of fact, we talked about that earlier today. And I think there is a lot that this industry could learn from B2C industry about how to handle customers before, during, and after, and how to create that raving fan going forward.
Got it. So some of the, what are some of the changes that you thinking about making there?
Yeah, we're going to actually institute the playbook for from residential in commercial with the post us customer touch with through automations, text messages, email campaigns.
So essentially, just giving them more visibility on what's going on. So feedback, giving them more information, making sure that they know the job has been done, the job is done certain way. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that plus staying in touch. Hey, it's been 6 months since we did your roof. Is there anything else you need?
Makes
You
sense.
know, when their warranty expires, show up to the building, walk the roof to make sure everything's fine. Just those type of touches, just being in constant communication with the customer. Um, I believe that's tremendously
Yeah, it's
important.
huge, adding value. Yeah. How about like, like the actual face-to-face time, the actual like, mingling, taking out to dinner and stuff. Do you do any of that, or it's not in your in that
Yeah,
industry?
in commercial for sure.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. You know, we're part of these associations and the dinners. You got to sponsor this and sponsor that, and take people out for golf outings and things. That's the whole world, man. That's where that marketing budget goes, not to LSA and Google pay per click. It goes to
Yeah.
golf outings.
Yes. Yeah, and that's and it's necessary because the one client can be a lot of volume
Yeah.
and are you are you with that association, which is also is another way, like being involved in local associations, being involved in I don't know, asset manager, national asset manager association, whatever. Those can be huge for companies like yours. Are you like going deep into that, like being more like a higher level sponsor, or
Yeah.
being involved in their committees and so forth? Like how are you playing that game? That the
Exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. We sponsor table, we sponsor booths. We're, sometimes we're the main sponsor, sometimes not. But we have to, like, our business development person attends each and every one of them. We go to conferences. It's a game. It's a fun game to play, but it's a
yeah.
necessary game to play, for sure. For sure.
And so
It gets a lot of traction.
so when you think of those guys, those are asset managers that goes to those things, or builder owners.
Each association is for their own type, right?
Like
So we
what?
have BOMA, which actually I don't even know what it stands for.
Oh,
Then we have IFMA, which is for facility managers.
okay,
And there's another one for BOMA is for property managers.
got it.
There's another one, I forget its name. Then we go to NERCA, which is the National Roofing Association Conference. So we try to pick there's one more about for consultants. So we try to pick a direct lane, a focused association, so we know what our target audience is. So we try to keep the net narrow, not blasted out wide, because again, we're very specific on our customer concentration and our customer profile.
From what perspective?
We don't want builders. We don't want to talk to contractors. We don't want to talk to facility managers of Walmarts or Amazon buildings. We don't want any of that.
Okay, got it. And so those specific managers, facility managers for healthcare buildings, hospitals, whatever,
Yes.
when they go to these organizations or where they go to these events, uh, they themselves, like personally, what are they trying to achieve?
Create a Rolodex of vendors that they can trust.
Got it. So that's what they're going to these events
And
specifically
of
to.
course, well, no, well, not specifically. They're
Yeah.
there to meet other. owners or other managers, people on their level, and
So,
make a connection and network that way to improve their own business. But we're there sponsoring as vendors,
yeah.
so then we kind of get ingrained in that community. And when they need a vendor, they know who to look for, and they'll first look up people who support them, other than people from outside that don't, that don't support them.
And are there any like thought leaders or people that speak in those events, like people that teach in those events, just teach these guys, where are they teaching? Where are they like, what is the kind of, what is the thing that they all want to learn about these facility managers? What are some of the things that they want to like develop? Because I'm assuming they go to these events to grow, to learn, to develop, in addition to network. Where are they trying to learn? Where are they
Yeah, so
trying to,
the ones that we attend, they're
yeah.
very local. They're here in
Ah,
Jersey.
okay.
They're not national, very
Got it.
local. So there is very few opportunities where they have learning environments.
Got it.
Which actually, that's a brilliant idea. I should bring that up
Yes.
to our BD
Yes.
person to maybe offer a lunch and learn or something.
Yeah, so you want to be
Uh,
like the thought leader. That's what I was gonna
yes,
say. So like,
yeah,
oh, these guys don't know what the compliance regulation that's coming, or maybe something specific to healthcare facilities, or maybe AI, how to use AI or the new tools to kind of like be a better facility managers, or how to use satellite technology to I don't know what it is, but there's got to be. So, in an ideal world, your team or your company become that thought leader, not just a vendor, but we bring value in terms of
yeah,
information, insight, and we want you to we'll come to your facility and teach your people, about this stuff that may not be related to a roof, but it adds value to your business, whether it is,
yeah.
new regulation in OSHA or new regulation in design design or whatever. I think it's anytime there's compliance, people lean in to want to know, and anytime there's technology, that also, and I'm assuming there are other things that they'll be curious about.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. 100%. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, Camille, thank you for sharing your experience with us and your story. It was incredible to follow, and I'm glad things are have improved, and you guys are doing amazing.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Jay. Always fun to share the journey and the story and the lessons, because if you can't share, then what are we doing this for? You know what
Yeah,
I
it
mean?
was.
It's always good to pour into the community.
I love it. Thank you, Camille. Appreciate it.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, bye bye.
Bye.